Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This side Chavi, and in this video we will be discussing from page number 202 till 210 of your NCERT book. This is part 2 of the chapter Industrial Revolution from History. But before I will proceed, I request to those who has not subscribed to this channel yet, please do like, share and subscribe this channel. Our first topic for today is steam power. Beta human tried to harness steam power for millennia, and steam power was first used in mining industries. Beta steam power was very useful in large scale industrialization because it provided pressure at high temperature that enabled the use of a broad range of machinery. It was the only source of energy that was reliable and cheaper enough to manufacture machinery itself. So, in this, we need to understand that with the progress in industrialization, the demand for coal and metals increased, and efforts were made to obtain them from ever deeper mines. But there were problems like flooding in the deeper mines. To overcome this problem, Thomas Savery invented a steam engine called the Miner's Friend in 1698, and it was used to drain mines. Later, the another steam engine was made, and it was made by James Watt in 1769. It converted the steam engine from being a mere pump into a prime mover. It was capable of providing energy to power machines in factories. James Watt established the Soho Foundry in Birmingham in 1775 to produce steam engines. After 1800, there were further developments in the steam engine technology, the use of lighter, stronger metals, the manufacture of more accurate machine tools, and the spread of better scientific knowledge. In 1840, British steam engines were generating more than 70% of all European horsepower. After steam power, now we will talk about transportation. Beta, because of various inventions which were occurring during the time of Industrial Revolution, it resulted in increase of production because of the introduction of various machineries. This further demanded search for new markets and raw material, because if there is an increase in production, they need market to sell their goods. And all this required a better and faster means of transportation. Before the Industrial Revolution, canal barges pulled by mules, ships were used for sailing, horse-drawn wagons, carts and carriages were used for taking goods from one place to the another. But with the advent of this revolution, train, steamships, trolleys, automobiles, they all came into existence. The first steam locomotive, Stephenson's rocket, appeared in 1814. Later, railways emerged as a new means of transportation that was available throughout the year. It was both cheap and fast. It will help to carry passenger and goods from one place to the another. The invention of the railways took the entire process of industrialization to a second stage. And because of this, most of England had been connected by railway by 1850. In these years of industrialization, it was possible for individuals with talents to bring about revolutionary changes, but it laid a great impact on the lives of people. Now, after discussing about steam engine and transportation, we will discuss that how industrialization changed the life of workers and the people. Now we will compare the life of people before Industrial Revolution and after Industrial Revolution. With a pre-industrial revolution, rural families did not rely solely on wages for sustenance. This is a very important point. They owned their own farms or gardens. where they raised most of their own food, made their own clothing. Unemployment was rare. But with the advent of industrial revolution, it laid a massive negative human cost. Workers in cities did not have the means to grow their own food or make their own clothing. Workers relied entirely upon their employers for wages with which they bought everything they needed. This was evident in broken families, new addresses, degraded cities, and poor working conditions in factories. Because of the setting up of industries, there was a lot of migration at that time. The number of cities in England with a population of over 50,000 grew from 2 in 1750 to 29 in 1850. This pace of growth was not matched with the provision of adequate housing, sanitation, or clean water. Due to all this, the newcomers were forced to live in overcrowded slums in the congested central areas of town near factories. According to the survey in 1842, it revealed because of the poor working conditions, the average lifespan of a worker was lower than that of any other social group. More people died and died at a younger age. Half the children failed to survive beyond the age of 5. The increase in the population of cities was because of immigrants rather than by an increase in the number of children born to families who already lived there. There were a lot of changes which were experienced during the time of industrialization, and the most notable was that the women and children started working in industries. Earlier, children worked in rural areas under the supervision of their parents or relatives, and women actively did the farm work, they reared livestock, and did work in their homes. But the things had changed dramatically. The income of the men was meager, and it was necessary for women and children to work to supplement their income, but because it was required for their survival. The working conditions were, however, far from satisfactory. The women and children had to work for long hours in the factories. The industrialists preferred to women and children as they would be less agitated about poor working conditions and low wages. Long hours of work gave them little fresh air, and children sometimes were caught in between the machines and died. Women gained increased financial independence, but poor and humiliating working conditions made their life worse. Later, because of all the problems which occurred due to industrialization, it led to the protest movement. The various causes which were related with the protest movement includes the French Revolution, as we had already discussed that the ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity of the French Revolution had created an atmosphere leading to collective mass action for democratic rights and removal of grievances like rising prices, etc. People were aware about their democratic rights. People want freedom. People won't want that they will work in such harsh conditions. In England, there was unrest due to harsh working conditions in factories. The third reason is that England had been at war with France for a long time. Trade between England and Europe was disrupted, factories were forced to shut down, unemployment grew, and the price of essential items of food like bread and meat went very high, beyond the level of average wages. And lastly, the enclosure movement. It was the another cause of hardship. Hundreds of small farms had been merged into the larger ones of powerful landlords. All these causes put hardship for the people over there. People started reacting towards the machine. In 1830, farm laborers started threatening the new threshing machines that separated the grain from the husk. The rioters smashed these machines in the name of Captain Swing. Later on, the another movement known as Ludism, led by the General Ned Ludd. He exemplified another type of protest. It was not merely a backward looking assault on machines, but it was all done and demanded a minimum wage and control over the labor of women and children, and work for those who had lost their jobs because of the coming of machinery. In August 1819, 80,000 people gathered peacefully at St. Peter's Field in Manchester to claim democratic rights, but they were suppressed brutally in what became known as Peterloo Massacre, and the rights they demanded were denied by the six acts passed by Parliament the same year. After Peterloo, the need to make the House of Commons more representative was recognized by liberal political groups, and the Combination Acts were repealed in 1824-25. Just for the protection of workers, various laws were passed prohibiting the employment of children under the age of 9 in factories and limiting the hours of work of those between the age of 9 and 16. Equal pay for equal work, school and requirements for school attendance grew as children were removed from the workforce. Healthy and safety codes were introduced, minimum wages were given, and legalization of unions were granted. So, with this, your chapter is over. I hope you have understood the topic. For better understanding, please read this chapter at home and prepare notes. In the end, this is your home task. Please do these questions in your register and try to frame all the answers in points. For any query, you can ask me over here. Even you can ask me in the online session. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Stay safe at home. Take care.